There we go. And we are live. Welcome to what we're calling the MLB Early Live Before Lock. We are going to be well before lock, that's for sure. This is going to be problematic. I'm going to keep talking right now, but my phone is ringing. And the last time that happened was 10 minutes ago, and it caused everything to stop working on my computer. So we'll see how that shakes out. I'm Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We're brought to you by Prize Picks. We're talking 4-game early. You'll get coverage of the main slate from the deeper dive and live before lock later today, but we are just attacking the early slate for today. So get ready for that one. Going to be a fun one. Adam, how are you?
I'm good. And yeah, the name of the show definitely threw me off. I kept having to double check the schedule and thinking it was going to be in like 2 hours. But yeah, to clarify for chat, no, I was not the one holding us up.
No, that was me. Not that I wasn't ready. I was ready. I got here. Everything was fine. Was talking to Tyler, and then all of a sudden I lost all of my audio. Basically everything on my computer froze. I rebooted. It wouldn't even let me back into the Zoom room. It told me because Tyler kicked me out of it before that I wasn't allowed to come back, even if he gave me an invitation. Wasn't fun.
I can't get the YouTube stream to load for me, so
hopefully see? It's all your fault. It's been you the whole time.
Right.
That's what I've been figuring. Anything interesting yesterday for the main slate?
No, kind of impressed that I managed to like lose money because I'm pretty sure Texas was my highest owned stack. I know for sure DeGrom was my highest owned pitcher. Yeah. Ended up doing what you had talked about and getting 100% DeGrom and then kind of just being less than the field on like everybody else and just kind of spreading exposures around. Yeah. So obviously wish I'd had more Joe Ryan, played him in cash, but that got me some money back at least. But yeah, kind of a frustrating slate.
Yeah, I had in the ag, like if you add it all up, 117% of Texas. And based on our ownership projections, it was 52% of Texas. So like I was 2x the field based on what I see here. They were the highest scoring stack and the highest scoring stack per plate appearance. And that didn't get me anywhere. Not even a lineup that was like, I don't even think I had one in the top 1%. And that's pretty tough to do.
Yeah, I think I had literally one, and that might have fallen out. I just eventually stopped paying attention. To get back to the question yesterday about can you stack Texas without Matthias and Semien? No, absolutely not. Do not do that.
And I didn't. Like, I had 18% Matthias, which was good enough. Neutral to the field on Semien. I had 12% of Adolis Garcia. It just didn't matter. Need a little bit more Milwaukee, I guess. A bit more of the Dodgers. I was under on Minnesota, but I was over on the Yankees. And ultimately, just didn't seem to make a difference. Not entirely sure why. Probably one I should dig back into. But for now, I guess we're just going to break down this 4-game slate.
Yeah, sounds good. A lot of pitching.
A lot of pitching. Very true. Enough. Well, 3 really good options that I see. We'll talk through it. Let's start it off. Reds and Pirates. This game starts at 12:35, so be ready there. I'm actually going to play this early slate, I think.
Yeah, although, I just remembered, I think I need to register it.
I'm guessing that the contests don't look great.
It's like 20K to first on Draftkings.
Okay. Can handle that, I guess. Cool. Let's just get into it. I don't need to pull that shit up right now. 4.4 run implied total for the Reds, 3.6 for the Pirates. Nick Lodolo and Roansy Contreras going in this one. Lodolo coming off a monster day, his last time out. 53% owned. He is 8,800 in this spot against the Pirates. On the opposite side, Contreras, 14% owned, 6,500. My top pitcher tool came out basically the same as ours, right around 40% top pitcher odds for Lodolo, 30% for top value. I don't have anything different to say. I am a little bit lighter on Lodolo. I have been able to go up a little bit further to Christian Javier and Dylan Cease. What do you think you'll be doing with Lodolo?
Certainly one of the best pitcher options on the slate. I was a little surprised to see him getting more ownership than Javier, but I guess a $900 price difference will do that. Lodolo is a very highly regarded pitching prospect, 29% strikeout percentage so far this year, 3.5 xFIP. So unlike a lot of the ones that we've talked about, he actually has been having success pretty much right out of the gate. So I like him. I'm not going to be upset if, like you said, if you get to a little bit more Javier, but it looks pretty good. On a completely unrelated note, are you able to create lineups on DraftKings right now?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, if you say right now, I don't know. I mean, I did this like 25 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, no, I meant like this second.
Let me look. Turn off randomness. Disable stacks.
No, I mean on DraftKings. Like, just
Oh,
like create a lineup and enter it into tournaments.
that's an even different question. I don't know. I'm about to find out.
Because I
When you
cannot.
said create lineups, I clearly didn't think you meant like
Right. Yeah.
on
No.
DraftKings.
Just actually make a lineup.
What's it doing for you?
Saying, sorry, not sure what happened. Please refresh the page and try again.
So far it seems like it's you. Let's see.
Yeah, my internet seems really weird right now.
All your fault. Yeah, I just made a lineup and entered the Minimax. So
Cool.
all you. See, this is why we weren't able to get started on time. Adam's shit sucks. Feels like 2018 in this piece. What a lifetime ago.
Yeah, those were fun shows.
The good old days. It's crazy that like that's before COVID.
Yeah.
Like, and it's been 2.5 years of that. Like, it's two different, like, entire companies, basically. It's kind of weird. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Lodolo looks good. I'm light, though. 38% at that 53% ownership mark. I am obviously getting to more Javier because I think he's lesser owned, and then I'm getting to more Cease because I think he's just the best option. But we're going to break down all of it. Contreras on the opposite side, 17% chance of being a top two pitcher, 27% at top value. I was a little bit lower in the top pitcher odds, but at the same time, it seems like he's appropriately owned. He's also someone I'm not getting to.
Yeah, I mean, he has talent. He's unlike Lodolo, just somebody where it hasn't really shown up at the major league level yet. Not getting a lot of strikeouts, even though he has really good stuff. 19.6% strikeout percentage, 4.7 xFIP. Certainly has a good matchup here against the Reds, and it's kind of interesting that he's only getting 14% ownership. I can certainly see getting there on a four-game slate, but kind of just is going to depend, I think, on what I do with bats. You know, obviously, I would prefer getting as much Cease, Lodolo, and Javier as I can, but there's only so many ways to differentiate with hitters, especially when a lot of those ways are facing those three pitchers. So, that could end up forcing me towards a little bit more Contreras.
You mentioned facing some of these pitchers and the pitchers that are getting ownership. That is happening for me, but we'll start with the Reds bats. Top stack, third. I actually had them second, but very little difference in data. Third in aggregate ownership, 16% owned. What do you want to do here with Cincinnati? Because the park is fantastic. The problem is the team isn't.
Yeah, they are certainly not. The park is good. Only 16% ownership. Kind of thought that would be higher just because, like, again, there's three really good pitchers on this slate. There's Patrick Sandoval. There's, just decent other arms too. So I kind of thought the Reds would be getting a little bit more here against Contreras. And it looks like when you factor in value, we probably do have them going a little bit under owned. So yeah, I mean, I like the park. The lineup looks fine. There's no Fraley. He got hurt yesterday, I think. Steer is hitting 7th for some unknown reason. But he did get first base, third base eligibility, so that's nice. You can play him and Solano in the same lineup now. Aquino has been hitting well recently, and I did actually catch part of a Reds broadcast the other day. And this isn't something that I really care too much about, but since I happen to hear it, I think it's worth noting that he had sort of changed like what he's doing with his front foot, and it's like it changed and kind of changed his approach at the plate. So it's probably still a small sample size thing that he's actually been hitting well, but he at least did change something in the midst of figuring out how to hit major league pitching again.
Do you see cash options here on the red side? Anybody that immediately stands out to you just by looking?
Friedel at 3,200 would be the first one. Aquino at 21 would be second.
I did not realize that we got their lineup because I still had Fraley in it. So I'm going to try to update that as we speak. Good thing is crunches run pretty quickly on a 4-game slate, so I can get 2,000 lineups rerun pretty promptly.
I just entered DraftKings from my phone, so hopefully I'm able to like build lineups and stuff after the show because that wouldn't be good if I can't.
No, it wouldn't. Try another browser. That would be my only.
Yeah, I didn't want to mess with it right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, like I like the idea of getting to Cincy, and I'm getting to Cincy. I was basically neutral to the field, but I'm a lot more over on the Pirates, and that's not necessarily something that I'm excited about. They are sixth in our top stack tool out of 8 teams, but they are the number one value team ahead of Cincinnati. 25% chance of being the top value stack. Sixth in ownership at 8.5%. A lot of that just has to do with the fact that Lodolo is on the opposite side in half of the lineups. This is probably going to be a spot where I'm over. I had about 16% of the Pirates, so 2x the field in this spot. Do you see anything appealing for Pittsburgh?
No. I mean, I think that they're perfectly fine in tournaments because it's a 4-game slate and it's pretty difficult to find contrarian plays that don't have something wrong with them. I will mention with it being a 4-game slate, I don't hate the idea of having, like a batter against your pitcher. That's one way you kind of can differentiate without having to go too far off the board. Like instead of having, say, 5-man Pirate stack against Lodolo, if you grab, Brian Reynolds in a Lodolo lineup, you're also contrarian that way, which is nice. So yeah, I think it's probably likely I get lineups like that where it's, Reynolds Hayes, Reynolds Chavis, something like that. Maybe some of it with Lodolo, more so than 5-man stacks, but I do expect to get to the Pirates just based on the top stacks tool right now.
Yeah, I mean, top stack odds higher than the ownership. We know they're an incredible value, so our stack score is quite a bit higher than the ownership. Are they like the best GPP team today based on what we're seeing?
I think it's probably the Reds right now. Reds or the Angels. Okay. Angels, I think, actually look good.
Yeah, it's just a really weird spot. I'm happy. Like, do I want to target Lodolo? No, but if we've got 3 high-end pitchers out of 4 games, you eventually have to just kind of pick one that you're not going to get to, or at least you're going to get to less than. Otherwise, you're just doing everything that everybody else is doing. You're not getting to any of those teams that aren't really picking up as much ownership. Right. At some point in time, you got to draw that line in the sand, and it looks like I'm going to be drawing that line through Lodolo a slight bit and to Pittsburgh a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, when you're just looking at those bottom 3 teams, I think Pittsburgh is the best, mostly just because of Park.
Yeah, like, the Park's fantastic here. I don't have a lot of interest in getting the Rockies, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Your other option then is the Tigers against the Astros. Like, from an odds perspective, one of those 3 crappy teams being the top stack is like a pretty likely scenario here. Do you think, I guess I'm sort of burying the lead for where we're going to be going, and more than anything, I'm just trying to kill a little bit of extra time on a 4-game slate. If you're just looking at this right now, do you have an anticipation of which pitcher you'll be lighter on and which team that sucks you'll be getting to?
My guess right now would be lighter on Lodolo just because the Pirates look a little bit better than the Tigers and the Rockies.
Okay. All right, I got my crunch done. So let's pop that back into the spreadsheet, see if anything changed now with no Fraley in the lineup. Well, I would imagine it gives me less reds, but or at least it should give me less reds. All right. Refresh is happening. What do we end up with? Okay, so I still have about 14% Pirates. Oddly enough, I get to more of the Cincinnati Reds. I'm up to 20% now. That I can handle. I think this looks good. 34% in the aggregate in this game for hitter ownership for me. We're projecting 24. So this is a game that I'm taking a stand on. And I like that in this particular park.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine.
I'm going to run a quick no randomness crunch as well, just to see what sort of cash pieces are popping up.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense too. Like, again, implied run totals are just a really quick, easy talking point. They don't mean everything, but 3.6 for the Pirates, 3.7 for the Angels, 3.8 for the Guardians. It's not like those are any different. 3 for the Tigers, 2.7 for the Rockies. Even the popular teams, the Reds at 4.4, White Sox at 4.3. The only team on the slate at 5 is Houston.
Yep.
So it's not like the opportunity cost for bats is particularly high on the slate.
TJ Friedel showed up in everything, 100 of 100. Aquino showed up in 99 of 100 for me. And then Rodolfo Castro showed up in 56%. Second base, third base eligible, 2,300. That makes a ton of sense to me with expensive pitching.
Yeah, and he's hitting third. We just got that lineup.
Oh, nice. I had him in for third. Let me just look at that lineup to see if there's anything like
Hayes,
different.
Reynolds, Castro, Chavis, Newman, Castillo, Cruz, Allen, Heineman.
Okay, I don't have that lineup, but and like I have more Cruz because I'd Cruz in the leadoff spot, but it doesn't matter for right now. All told, I'm going to be over the field on the Pirates. I'm quite confident in that, unless Lodolo's ownership goes down into like the low 40s. And then I am also over the field on the Reds. This is going to be the game I probably have the most of. Alrighty. Let's talk schedule for the rest of the day. Coming up after this at 11 a.m., that will be the NFL Strategy Show Ownership Edition, taking the first glance at our ownership projections for this coming Sunday. Don't want to miss that. Get a really good blueprint for the slate moving forward. We'll have the MLB Deeper Dive coming up at 5, and then MLB Live Before Lock at 6 o'clock. Is there not a PGA Live Before Lock today?
I have no idea.
Interesting. Well, apparently there's not a PGA Live Before Lock show today, but I would have thought there was one. I guess not. Anyway, we end with baseball, so no football today. Tomorrow, we'll have a ton of shit going on with Thursday night football here. Free content for today. Our MLB ownership projections are free. We're going to talk about them throughout this show, along with the PGA rankings. So you might not be getting a PGA Live Before Lock, but you can get our rankings for free for today. Tigers and Astros. 3-run implied total for the Tigers. I've got it at 4.8 for the Stros. Joey Wentz, Christian Javier. Wentz unowned at 5,200 against Houston. Christian Javier, 44% owned, 9,700 here against the Tigers. I think that Javier is probably the best combination of ownership, price, and matchup. I got to 79% Christian Javier at this moment. That works for me. I think the Tigers suck. I think it's a great strikeout matchup. I get the Astros on the road. Everything looks good here for me for Christian Javier.
Yeah, completely agree. What do the Astros on the road have to do with anything?
Oh, I was just sort of getting to the bats portion of it too. I was just pitching the Astros in general.
Yeah, okay. Javier looks great. There are 6 lefties in the Tigers lineup. Typically, prefer righties for Javier, but not the biggest deal here. Still can't get 2022 data for him. Last 90 days. What'd you say?
We might need to reach out to Matt.
Yeah. Last 90 days, 37.5% strikeout percentage against righties, 30.8 against lefties, sub 100 expected ISO to lefties. So it's not like you're concerned about the lefties. It's just, he'd project a little bit better if they were righties. But looks like a really, really good spot for him. 9,700 certainly reasonable as well. As far as Joey Wentz goes, I can't pull up his minor league numbers because Fangraphs is working about as well as Draftkings for me. But I know he's coming off of a good start, but don't really care when he's facing the Astros.
What do you want to know for Joey Wentz? Because I can pull it up.
Just general, is he any good?
Joey Wentz projects via Zips with a 544 FIP. Steamer a bit more rosy at 476. The bat 486. The depth chart's 5. So piss poor across the board from a FIP perspective. He did throw 6 2/3 against Kansas City on the 9th. So he is, like, in theory, a fully stretched out starter. Doesn't appear that matters all that much. He was the 9th overall prospect for the Tigers per Fangraphs coming into this season. He's got a decent changeup, and that's about it.
Yeah, thanks. I have it up now.
Okay.
Decent minor league numbers, but probably not major league ready.
Any justification for him today on a 4-gamer other than
that would be it?
Yeah.
4-gamer, 1% ownership, but
yeah,
probably not.
All righty. Let's then talk about the Houston Astros, who came in number 1 in our top stack tool, number 1 in mine, 7th in top value, 7th in mine, number 1 in ownership, 22% owned in this spot. I'm light on Houston. I don't like it. It's the best spot, but this is a park where home runs go to die. 90 park factor to righties, 69 to lefties, which doesn't matter all that much here because it's Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker, and I don't give a shit what the park factor is for those two guys. So it's not as bad of a spot as it seems, but what do you think you'll end up doing here with Houston?
So, I like that they look like they're going a little bit under-owned, but they do also not – they're also expensive. And all three pitchers on this slate are relatively expensive that I really like. They're a team where I could see maybe that's where you like use some Roansy Contreras, still at least get a pitcher that has talent in his arm and you get to a really good stack. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think it's likely I end up a little under the field just because of the pricing, which doesn't make me that happy.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but that just seems like the easiest spot to be a little bit different today. And I mean, obviously, you and I don't have to pitch the virtues of the Houston Astros. We know how good this lineup is. I got them at a 119 aggregate WRC plus. The second closest team, either the Angels or the White Sox, at 109. So 10 full points. We're on a different level with talent. Any of these guys you want to get to, that works.
Yeah, I mean, and they stand out too because like every offense on this slate is like you were saying, average to well below average, and then you have the Astros.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy here. I wish that I were getting a little bit more. I'll dig into it a bit later, but for now, I'm looking at basically half the field. I wish that I had something that I could say that like that made that make more sense. But on a 4-game slate, I'm just trying to sort of play an ownership game. I'm already getting to the Reds and Pirates. I'm paying up aggressively at pitcher. I have a sneaky suspicion that when we get to the Angels and the White Sox, and to a lesser extent the Guardians, but they don't look good from a power perspective, I'm just going to get a lot of the teams that aren't getting as much ownership as the Astros.
Yeah, that's my guess right now, just based on Top Stack Tool, is I'm getting Cincy and the Angels.
I did not really get anything from this game from a cash perspective outside of Altuve, who was in 93% of lineups that I generated. Christian Javier, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously, but I do have Christian Javier at the top with Dylan Cease. I think any one of those top three probably makes some sense. Lodolo probably more likely than Javier from a cash perspective, but I don't think that there's any real wrong answer if you pick any of the top three guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just quickly running, I should say, a crunch with the Stokastic projections. In the top projected lineup, Altuve, Pena, Alvarez all showing up.
Pena was my other Astro, 34%, and then I didn't have anybody else that was really in sniffing distance.
Pena's in 100%. Altuve's in like 80-something%.
Okay. Let's hash out the Tigers, who I think look a little bit different than the Pirates do. They are 7th in our top stack odds at 7%, 3rd in top value. They're also 7th in ownership. Maybe a hair under owned. This is a team with a lot of flexibility depending on what this lineup looks like. They've got, at least for the lineup that I have in,
their lineup's out.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Or are we just getting like a shit ton of lineups right now?
I think it's been out, but I'm not sure.
Oh. Okay, then I have that same lineup. So 4 guys with MPEs. So can we do it? Or do they just look like shit because they're not good?
I mean, they look like shit because they're not good, but they're still in a better spot than the Rockies are against Cease. I guess, I mean, it's pretty close, but I do kind of like the lineup by Tiger standards. You know, obviously you have Riley Green in there, but Kerry Carpenter's in the lineup. He's hitting 5th. You have Eric Haas in there. He's got some power. I mean, the issue is that Javier just doesn't give up power, and this park's going to help that as well. Last 90 days, 159 expected ISO to righties from Javier. That's not great. Sub 100 to lefties. You're just basically saying, you know, I hope Javier just has one of the few games that he's going to have every year where he just doesn't have it.
Yeah. This isn't like the Lodolo situation. I have 4% of Detroit. I just got to hope that they aren't the team because I'm betting more on Javier. Do you like 4-game slates?
No.
And I kind of like them a lot in that you just kind of take like a big stand or two and you just watch to see if like those two things happened. Like it's different where on like a 12-gamer, you could have a really good team that's unowned, but like there could just be 2 chalk teams that also smash and it ends up not mattering. I like the idea of like having a piece of everything.
Yeah, no, I hate 4-game slates.
Okay. Well, there you go. Anything else here, Tigers and Stros?
And the big reason is because I just always end up taking stands on teams like the Pirates, and it never works. So
maybe you should be better at picking those teams.
Yeah, maybe. No, nothing else from Astros and Tigers.
Prize Picks is the sponsor of this show. If you click the link in the description of this video and just head on over and make a deposit, they will match that deposit of up to $100. So if you put in 20, they'll match with 20. If you put in 50, they'll match with 50, but you can get up to 100. You don't have to worry about having like an optimizer or anything like that. We're picking player props, and you got to take over-unders. If you put 5 of them together and they all win, you'll net up to 10x your entry fee. All sorts of different sports too. Disc golf is on there right now. Lacrosse, KBO, trucks, MMA, tennis, PGA, NFL, college football, soccer. But here, we're going to talk a little bit about baseball. We're going to talk pitcher fantasy scores. I'm going to hit you with a couple of the big guns for today. I'm going to hit you with all 3 of the big guns for today. How's that?
Under.
Nick Lodolo, over-under 38.5.
Close, but under.
Yeah, I got 35.2, so I would be willing to take the under on that one. Christian Javier, 39.5.
Under.
It's a wash for me. 38.8. I wouldn't touch that one at all. And then finally, Dylan Cease, who we will get to in a little bit, over under 44.5.
Under.
I agree. Also to the under here for me on Dylan Cease. Now I'm going to give you one. We do have hitter scores. Yeah, we do have hitter scores. Who would be a fun hitter to do for today? Since we just talked about the Astros game, I'll hit you with an Astros one. Remember, this is Draftkings scoring for the hitters. Yordan Alvarez, over under 8.
Over.
Okay. I got him at 8.2, so I'd probably stay away from that one. All right. Go sign up at Prize Picks, everybody. Brain's not firing again. It's been some more days with the lack of caffeine to start off the day. Not great. Dude, I don't know why I'm getting as many phone calls as I am today. I have had, I'm going to say 20 calls of numbers that I don't recognize or immediately marked as like spam calls on my phone since I woke up this morning.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's happened 3 times now since we've been on the show. It happened multiple times just prepping for the show. Stop calling me, people. I don't know who you are. I don't want to talk. Indians. Oop, there it is. That's the first time I've done that in a while. Guardians and Angels. 4.2
run. I
didn't
even catch it.
4.2 run implied total for the Guardians. 3.9 for the Angels. Cal Quantrill and Patrick Sandoval going here. Quantrill, 16% owned. Seems about right based on our top pitchers tool. Sandoval, 11% owned. Probably seems a little bit light given our top pitchers tool. The problem for me is that I don't have either of them because I have only the top 3 pitchers on today's slate. Go with whichever one you want to talk about.
I like, really both in tournaments. I think makes sense. Sandoval is a good pitcher, 24% strikeout percentage, 3.7 xFIP. The problem is just that the Guardians lineup does not strike out. So, that's a bit of an issue, especially when you do have Javier, Cease, and Lodolo on the same slate with all of them in good matchups. It just becomes really difficult to want to prioritize Sandoval. For example, we have Cease, Lodolo, and Javier projected all within 2 DraftKings points of each other, and then basically a 4.5 point gap to Patrick Sandoval. So I think it makes sense in tournaments in the same way that like playing the Pirates makes sense. Like you're clearly giving something up, but you're at least putting yourself in a reasonably likely to succeed spot. So I think that's the case really for both of them. Quantrill projects a point behind Sandoval. Not the same level of strikeouts typically in the Angels lineup these days as we had earlier in the year, but still also not a great offense outside of Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. Ward and Rengifo are fine, but still not a great offense. Just a lot more difficult to strike out than they were when they were all injured, and you had Jared Walsh in there striking out 30-something% of the time, and Joe Adell striking out 30% of the time. So not as good a strikeout matchup, but I think both of those guys basically just serve the same purpose on this slate. They're projected to be under-owned as pitchers. They are going to need some help in the sense of Cease, Lodolo, and Javier having pedestrian games, but you're still only talking about 3 pitchers that need to be mediocre.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my God. Another one. Sound like DJ Khaled, dude. Jesus. Unbelievable. This is getting old. Yeah, I don't have a single share of Quantrill or Sandoval just because of the way that I'm getting to see Javier and Lodolo. That's totally fine with me at this point. Definitely some upside here, but tough strikeout matchup for Sandoval and Quantrill gets the Angels with some good hitters. So I don't have anything else to say there. Let's talk bats. I guess we'll start with the Angels here. Fourth in top stack, fourth in value, fourth in ownership, fourth in stack score. I guess they're fourth. 13% aggregate ownership coming in for the Angels. Since I don't have either pitcher, it is very easy for me to get the bats. So I am close to double the field on the Angels and similarly close to double the field on the Guardians. But let's start with the Angels here. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of expect to be in that same situation because if I do end up just pretty much getting Cease, Lodolo, Javier, then my options are either Cleveland or the Angels in mediocre spots or just god-awful Pittsburgh, Colorado, Detroit offenses. So I think it probably ends up pushing up the Angels and Guardians for me. Neither spot's super appealing. Quantrill, 165 expected ISO to lefties over the last 90 days, 178 to righties. Obviously, Trout and Ohtani look fantastic. They always do. Ward, Rengifo are fine. David Fletcher's got MPE most likely leading off, but not a very appealing team as a whole to get to. And then on the other side, Sandoval, I think an even better pitcher than Quantrill. Sub 100 expected ISO to lefties over the last 90 days. He gives up just absolutely nothing to them. 136 expected ISO to righties, so not like he's giving up a lot there either. You do have a right-handed heavy lineup. You're probably only going to have Quan and Jimenez as the only lefties, but neither team is one that I can make a case where like I'm really excited to take them against the opposing pitcher. The case is basically I probably won't have a lot of the pitchers that they're facing, and they are not the Pirates, Tigers, or Rockies.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. Do you prefer the Angels to the Guardians?
Yes.
I have the exact same amount of both in the aggregate, 21% each. A little bit more on the stacks for the Guardians. Makes sense because Sandoval's a better pitcher than Cal Quantrill.
Also, just more MPE for the Angels. You have Fletcher, Ohtani, Rengifo, all multi-position eligible. On the Guardians, you only have Tyler Freeman.
No Yordan Alvarez today.
I like the under on Prize Picks.
You think he gets a 0?
Yeah, he might.
Pinch hit Dom.
Yeah, pinch hit home run.
Righty. Are there cash options here in Cleveland and LA, other than obviously if you get to Ohtani or Trout?
Oscar Gonzalez was showing up, but also so was Yordan Alvarez, so that might change.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani was in 39% of my things. I don't have anybody else here from this game.
Yeah, Ohtani's in 25%. Trout's in 30%. Gonzalez was in 42%.
I thought Pirates Reds was going to be the game I have the most of, but right now it's looking like it's going to be Guardians Angels. But I like that. If I'm 2x the field of this game, I'm willing to take that stand. That'll be a fun time. I'll go to the gym at 1:00, come back out. It'll be nothing. Cal Quantrill's got the no-hitter alert on the MLB app. It'll be a real good time. Anything else for this one?
Nope.
All righty. Promo for you people. I told you guys yesterday that you needed to get into Scramble. Otherwise, it was gone. And I was telling you the truth. It is gone. But what we do have for you now, if you want to get a little bit of a taste, you can get our NFL DFS tools for free for 3 days if you've never had a Stokastic account before. So if you're new to Stokastic Platinum or new to the NFL and you want to give our NFL DFS tools a little bit of a shot, click the link in the description of this video and get access to our NFL tools for 3 days. That's projections, ownership, top stacks, boom bust, our brand new lineup generator and player compare tool, all of that. And all you have to do is click that link in the description. Remember this, Fantasy Cruncher is not included in this 3-day free trial. So you're not going to be getting that, but you can take a look behind the paywall, see what we have to offer. Just go check it out, guys. Now's the time to do it. And now we close it out. White Sox and Rockies, 4.4 run implied total for the White Sox, 2.9 for the Rockies. Dylan Cease and Kyle Freeland. Cease is $10,300, the most expensive pitcher on the slate by $600, $600 more than Christian Javier. He is 57% owned, also the most owned pitcher on today's slate. And I agree with it. I think the Rockies are bad. They're even worse when they're not playing in Colorado. Dylan Cease is good. I have nothing else to add other than I have 80% of Cease right now.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that. Basically identical strikeout percentage this year to Javier. Javier at 31.7% as a starter, Cease at 31.6, 3.33 xFIP, just really, really good pitcher. Good matchup against the Rockies outside of Coors. I don't really have a lot to say other than he's pretty clearly the top option for me, I think.
Yeah, I only have him by 0.3 of a point over Javier.
Yeah, I mean, all three of those guys are close enough. Like that's
Yeah,
why I kind of hesitated. Like I think Cease is the top option, but
yeah.
it's not Jacob deGrom versus everybody else.
No, this is three guys. I would be fine. Like if somebody wanted to tell me that Lodolo was the best option, Javier was the best option, Cease was the best option. I think all of those three things are could be true. I don't. I wouldn't argue with anybody other than saying someone outside of that group of three. If you tried to tell me that it was Cal Quantrill today, more construction outside. I'm taking a beating today, whether it's my phone ringing, the damn hammer's banging out there.
I don't even notice the construction anymore because it's just nonstop.
Yeah, they're doing good. They're literally outside of my window right now. It's freaking me out
because I your house or somebody else's.
My house.
Okay.
But like I can see the shadow of a human being behind the curtains, which is creepy as shit. Okay, Kyle Freeland, 5,600. Okay, enough spot against the White Sox, but is there a value spot you would be okay with getting to?
Of that, you mean pitching wise?
Yeah,
Contreras.
Okay.
I think I would get Contreras before Freeland.
Okay, I got 3.3% of Freeland. That's the only shares of anybody that I got that weren't the top three. So that's not me saying I think Kyle Freeland's like in a good spot or anything, but it's just what's happening.
Yeah, I mean he's outside of course. He's just an average-ish pitcher.
Yeah, he's been going deeper in games lately too, which is interesting. But he's about to see 9 righties, so we'll see how that goes. Let's talk White Sox bats. Second in top stack odds, 6th in value, 2nd in ownership. This is the team I think that has the biggest gap between stack score and ownership. I am quite a bit under the field on the White Sox right now.
Yeah, the way things look right now, this is the team that I would say, without having built lineups yet, that I'm most confident I end up under the field because they're not offering a ton in the way of value. We only have them with a 7% chance of being the top value stack. 14.5% top stack percentage is second highest, but it's just lumped in with Cincinnati, the Angels, Cleveland, even Pittsburgh's not that far behind them. And you're just getting more ownership going there. So like Houston, I had said, I think because of pricing, I probably don't get a lot, but I'd be more than happy to it. Them going a little bit under-owned. Cincy, the Angels, Cleveland, all more or less in line with their top stack percentage. The White Sox are like the one team that kind of stands out as glaringly over-owned.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. I can't anticipate getting to a lot of this team at this point. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Let's see, what time is locked? 12:35, right?
Yeah.
Gotta put a little bit of a reminder here on the calendar. There we go.
Yeah, and like individual ownership wise, it's pretty spread out throughout the lineup as well. We have Abreu leading the way at 24%. Romy Gonzalez bringing up the bottom at 11%. So it's not even like it's a team where I think you can mix in a few guys that just aren't going to get ownership.
Yeah, I have very little here from the White Sox side. Guy I have the most is Eloy Jimenez, 7%. Everybody else is in that like 5 to 7 range. Just not going to be getting there. So go Kyle Freeland once again. And on the opposite side here, is there anything for you for the Rockies? 8th in top stack, miraculously also 8th in value, which is comical. Just comical. They're 8th in ownership, 8th in stack score. How are they not even a good, like, why are they priced like they're actually playing in their home stadium?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the only reason I haven't complained, I don't really complain about it is because at least then when they go back to cores, they're priced somewhat correctly. Yeah, as opposed to the teams coming in at 2K across the board. So that's been nice. But yeah, I mean, I just don't really know how you get to them outside of just saying nobody else is going to get to them.
It's insane. What do we got going on here? All righty, massive super chat just popped up from Julio G. 100 bills. Thank you for all the content you guys do. I personally like this duo. I personally like this duo as well, but I like
half
me. Yeah, I was going to say, I like me plus anybody else. He finished 2nd in the relay throw yesterday, I believe yesterday, tied with 2 others who duped, and 2nd in the 4-seamer towards the end of the night. Is that too much similarity? And would you, this is an actual question. I was just reading it like it was a positive statement. Towards the end of the night, is that too much similarity? And would you try to get different long-term, or are you happy? I mean, it's hard to you're definitely happy. Look, if you're getting to 2nd in the relay throw, 2nd in the 4-seamer, it's hard to take negatives away from that.
I was guessing he meant the dupe part.
I mean, Meant to put, I was a 2v2 towards the end. Is that good?
So if you're asking about similarity with regard to being duped, possibly. There are some lineups that you'll dupe and you'll look at it and just be like, I had a ton of ownership in this lineup. Like, I shouldn't be surprised I was duped. There's other ones where it's just like, oh, cool, I ran a 5-3 stack. It's perfectly fine in terms of being contrarian, and somebody else just played the same team. You shouldn't, if it's the latter, I wouldn't worry about it. It's just, it's going to happen. If it's, you just played like all of the most popular players on the slate and so did somebody else, you'll want to look into that. As far as a 2v2 at the end, if you're asking like, does that mean you're too similar because somebody at the top was that close to you? No, because you can be as contrarian as you want. Let's say you stack, you're talking about large field tournaments. Let's say you stack like a 2% owned team. You're still competing. If that ends up being the top scoring team, you're still competing with a ton of lineups, even though they're 2% owned. Relatively a ton of lineups that have that team, and they're going to have a lot of similar players if they stack the same team. So there's nothing wrong with that. The duping part is where I would look at it a little bit more and just pay attention to whether or not you played a lot of chalk or just got unlucky. Somebody happened to play the same teams as you.
So he didn't get duped. He was a 2v2 away from the guys that tied him. And I've got his lineup right here. I wouldn't change a thing. I think this lineup looks great, actually. So it's DeGrom, Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan ended up being 17.5% owned in the relay throw. Clearly, I don't see any issue there. It's a 5-man Texas stack. 10%, 12%, 9%, 18%, 8% for that stack, each individual ownership percentage. It's got a 2-man stack of Dansby Swanson and Robbie Grossman. They were 4% and 4% combined, and then a one-off Aaron Judge, which obviously worked. That's fun. A great lineup.
What'd you say the pitching was? DeGrom, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any issues there.
Nope, not at all. I think that looks good. So Julio, I wouldn't sweat that at all. I don't think you did anything wrong. I mean, the fact that you tied is honestly really weird, considering you tied with 2 people that duped.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so to clarify, like, nobody duped him. It was just a tie.
225.65 was scored 3 times. Once by Julio, and then Slush Fun and Good Sab both had it, but that was an actual dupe.
Okay, yeah, then absolutely nothing to worry about there. Good lineup.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, let's sum it up. This should be pretty easy. And again, and congratulations just in general. I mean, Julio played 6 bullets in the relay throw, came away with a little over 12 grand from the relay throw, and then I assume another couple thousand from the 4-seamer yesterday. Probably 2 if I had to get. Yeah, another 2,000 from the 4-seamer. Congrats on the money, man. Enjoy it. Save a little bit for taxes.
Yeah, let's lose it back. It's more fun.
That's also true. Top pitchers for the early slate today.
Cease, Lodolo, and Javier.
There we go. If you were getting away from one of them, do you have an expectation of who that would be?
Probably Lodolo, just because Pittsburgh looks better from a stacking standpoint than Detroit or Colorado.
Favorite stacks?
Cincy, Angels, Guardians.
I should have waited to ask you that question before I asked for more likes. We got 300 plus people in here, only 54. Let's hit the thumbs up for a good early slate show. You guys don't normally get this. Let's hit the thumbs up to celebrate Julio's big day yesterday. I think we should be able to do that. 3 teams that I have the biggest stand on: Guardians, Angels, Reds. 2 teams that I'm fading the most: Astros and White Sox. I wouldn't mind at all getting to more Astros. I'm very happy with the fade of the White Sox. You
Angels
still doing?
Just came out.
Okay.
Fletcher's hitting 9th. Mickey Moniak leading off. Pretty similar. I mean, Trout, Ohtani, Ward, Rengifo in there. That's kind of the pieces that mattered.
All right. Do you still do tournament plays?
Yes.
Okay. They will be out then sometime in the early afternoon. Adam will also be back for the deeper dive later today. I'm done though. So I'm gonna peace out. I'm gonna watch some early slate baseball, and I'm just gonna chill for the rest of the day. It's gonna be a nice one. So anything else you want to add?
Nope.
There it is, everybody. NFL Strategy Show Ownership Edition coming up at 11 a.m. First look at our ownership, taking a peek at week 2 in the NFL. Thank you to Prize Picks for being the presenting sponsor of this show. Good luck to everyone today and later tonight. Talk to you again tomorrow. Peace.